Hi everyone, it's great to be here at Camp Digital today. Thank you so much to the team for inviting me here. Before I make a start, I wanted to give a quick plug to the lightning talk session that's happening this afternoon. So I'm here because last year myself and my colleague Jess, we spoke for 5 minutes. It's the first time we'd stood on a physical stage at a conference and spoken. We got to the end, sat down, turned to each other and went, that was amazing, how do we do that again? And so much of why that experience was great was because we had a lovely, friendly, receptive, enthusiastic audience in front of us. So if we can recreate that atmosphere for this year's new speakers, I know they will really appreciate it. So if you're sticking around after the coffee break, please do go and support them. I know they'll really appreciate it. But for the here and now, I'm here to talk to you about fun. And I'll be honest with you, when I was here 12 months ago, this whole scenario would have been entirely inconceivable to me, that I'd be at a professional conference in front of quite a large group of people, talking about something apparently kind of quite trivial and not very important. And as soon as I sent in my talk title, I got the fear. I was like, is this a terrible idea? And just to give you kind of an idea of what's been going on in my brain for like the last week, it's been saying, what on earth are you doing? Nobody will take you seriously. You're about to ruin your professional credibility. We'll find out in about 35 minutes if that is true. But rather than be overwhelmed by that fear and say, just don't do it, pull out, don't do this talk, I tried to be curious about that feeling and say, why does it feel scary to talk about fun? Why does this feel like a topic we don't talk about in a professional setting, we're not allowed to talk about? And I think it's because we've got some quite strong social constructs, often they're kind of like unwritten rules that say, work and play, work and leisure, these are two opposite things. We put them at ends of a spectrum, we say these two things never come together. And I'm here to tell you today that they can, and they should. So I thought I'd start today by calling out some of those things that we hear, some of those myths that we're told about fun and work, because I think unless we can call them out, unless we can name them, it's hard for us to challenge them and say, well, do we really believe that? So there's 3 I'm going to take you through today. So the first one is that fun is only for startups or companies with lots of money. And I think this one comes from the media portrayal of what was shown, of what it means to be a fun, up-and-coming workplace. And I'll give you some examples. Do you have beanbags in your office? Because I'm afraid if you're sitting on a normal chair, well, you're not having fun, are you? Do you have a table tennis table? Or a table foosball table? They're even better with the little handles. Yeah, because if you don't have one of those, you're not doing this properly either. Never mind the fact that these take up a lot of real estate. And then, of course, the pinnacle of the fun workplace is, of course, the slide. Because why would you want to use stairs or a lift? That's far too conventional. See, my real problem with this as our image of what we're told about what it means to be a fun workplace is this is fundamentally not inclusive. This is not accessible to everyone. So, to enjoy these kinds of fun, you have to be in an office, you have to be physically able to engage with these activities, and you've got to be someone who's kind of actually quite extroverted. If you don't like crowds or noises or lights, this isn't accessible to you. And also, even if those things aren't a barrier to you, it's just so expensive. For most of us, this would not be attainable. So I work in the public sector, in the civil service. If I went to my boss tomorrow and said, I want us to build a slide in the office, I would be laughed out of the room. And rightly so, that wouldn't be a good use of money, right? So I'm going to take you through a few different ways today that we can incorporate fun in a way that is genuinely inclusive and doesn't cost any money. So myth number 2 is you can have fun or productivity, but you can't have both. This idea that fun is fundamentally a waste of time and we shouldn't be having fun. So that may be true if you work in a job that looks like this. So there's a very direct linear relationship between the number of hours you spend at work and how much output you produce. Then sure, if we chopped kind of 5 minutes off that line, we'd see less business output. So classic example of this is if you work in something very process driven, so say you work on a factory line, if we turn the line off for 5 minutes, clearly fewer products are going to fall off the end. But most of us who work in digital spheres, we don't work in process jobs, we work in knowledge jobs. So what we're paid for is how we think, how we ask questions, how we solve problems. And we don't have this very direct linear relationship. Ours is much more kind of wobbly. So it might be, flat lines in the middle because we were waiting for a decision from a senior stakeholder, or we're waiting for an investment case to go through and we can't make any progress. Or it might pick up massively because we've just sat in on a user research session and we've just learnt loads in half an hour that's just hugely accelerated our thinking. So in this kind of space, if we can take 2 minutes out of our day to do something a bit different, well, that doesn't really affect our productivity. Or rather, it's very dependent on where you take that time out of. And I also want us to get away from these ideas that fun and work are two very extreme ends of the spectrum. So these are like the extreme scenarios I think we imagine. So on the left is we spend 100% of our time doing very serious, very productive things. We're in back-to-back meetings, we never take a break, there's no time for small talk. Now, I've worked in teams like this, and sure, you get a lot done in the short term, but my goodness, are you exhausted? Like, that is not a sustainable pattern of work for most of us, to be completely focused all the time. It's not how our brains work. And the opposite end of the spectrum is we do as little serious work as we can get away with, and we spend the rest of our day kind of just enjoying the company of our colleagues. Now, evidently, if my day looked like this, my bosses would turn around to me and go, what are you doing? Like, you're not taking your job seriously. Now, I think there can be somewhere in the middle. So I aspire for something like this. And we say, the vast majority of our time, we're doing our serious work. And I care so much about the problems that I work on and the users we serve. And I really want to spend my time doing that work. But also, it's okay to have moments of light relief in our day. It's okay to have moments where we enjoy the company of our colleagues. So I think, for me, it's that middle ground is the aspiration. So, and then my third and final method is, you can't be fun and be seen to be professional. Now, my main problem with professionalism is this is an uneven playing field. So there's a couple of headlines. So the top one, this was a woman with a temporary job, and she was sent home from work because she wasn't wearing high heels. So in her place of work, professionalism was dictated by what kind of shoes you had on your feet. And another more recent study was about folks with afro hairstyles who, if they wore their hair natural or in braids, they were seen to be less professional than their peers with European hairstyles. So the thing is, this notion of professionalism is so arbitrary. We could be incredibly serious, never crack a smile, never make a joke, and for a lot of us, professionalism is still unattainable. So those are the three myths I want to bring to you today. I think they're myths. And I want us to question, do we think these things are true? And even if we think they're true, are we so confident they're true, universally, 100% of the time, that we're going to let these social constructs dictate how we behave for every moment of every day we spend at work? And goodness knows that's a lot of time. And if we don't think, if we perhaps think they're not universally true, or we can make a case that they're untrue in some situations, then we can make a bit of space for something different. So I'm going to talk to you why I think fun is so important, and I think we should all be having more fun at work. And I think it works on multiple different levels. It works for us, our teams, our organisations, for us individually, and for our users. So we'll start with teams. And my first point I want to make is around kind of how digital teams work. So digital teams work in a model that's very high trust. So how do we build trust? We can actually build trust through fun. So let me explain. So if you work in a hierarchical team like this, where all the power sits at the top with the most senior person, then the way they can get stuff done is they can dictate. They can say, I want you to do this, and I'm telling you to do it because I'm the most senior and I'm telling you what to do. But most of us, our teams don't look like that anymore. They look like this. We hire for flat teams. We hire for people with multiple disciplines. We say, you collectively have power. You decide how you get stuff done. So in this scenario, if I'm trying to get a new idea through, I can't just say, do it because I tell you to. It's much more conversation, it's much more collaborative. It's, I've got this idea, what do you think about it? What's going to go wrong? How might we get it prioritised? It's much more collaborative. And for collaboration to work, we need to trust each other. We need to trust that when we put our ideas out in the world, that people are going to receive those things generously and give us constructive feedback. And we also need to trust in the knowledge and the expertise of our colleagues. And say, actually, I treat you as an equal. I trust that your experience is really valuable. So if we want these high trust teams, well, how do we build it? Well, fun's a great way to do that. Because if we can have a laugh together, we can say, it's fine, I can be a bit silly, you can laugh at me. That's showing our vulnerability. It's saying I'm a safe person to be around. And every time we kind of share that vulnerability and that's met with kindness, and that's not met with insults, then we're building that relationship with our colleagues too. And it shares a bit about ourselves as humans as well. So next, we as a sector, we need to hold on to great people. So we all know that people with digital skills are highly in demand because more and more companies are recognising they need this stuff. And thanks to the internet and the LinkedIn inbox, our best people are more available than ever to recruiters. So we've got to work hard to hold on to them. Now there's a few different pillars, right, to holding on to people. So compensation, you have to pay your people properly or they will leave. Really important. Also development, you've got to give people opportunities. You've got to give them space for learning, otherwise people leave. But when I talk to people who've stayed, often in spite of low compensation or not enough opportunities, what do they say? Well, they say, I like my colleagues, I enjoy coming to work, I like spending time with the people I work with. So if we want to hold on to people, yes, we need to pay them properly, yes, we need to give them opportunities, but also, can we just make this a nice space for them to spend their 40 hours a week? I think that's really important if we want to hold on to our best people. So for us as individuals, this works too, and mainly because fun is a great counterbalance to stressful situations. So I've worked on some really important government programmes, stuff you will definitely have seen in the national news, and on context where we're very conscious that bad decision making has real world consequences, domestically and internationally. That is inherently a stressful context to be in, where you know that your work is genuinely important to the world. We also work in spaces with, I'm not a user researcher, but I work very closely with user researchers. And what we do kind of when we have those sessions and we speak to participants is often we're asking them to recount to us their most difficult stories. We say, tell us where this situation didn't work for you. Tell us how the system has not supported you on the thing you wanted to do, or how the things that we build are actively causing you harm. Now, we're constantly hearing those human stories, and that's what we need to hear in order to make our products and service better. Well, how do we kind of sustain ourselves through that process of this stressful context? Now, how we sustain ourselves, right, is we find moments of relief. We need to have times where we step back and we have a moment to ourselves and we take a breath and we talk about something that's not the problem that's right in front of us. And I think it's unrealistic to expect that turning off to only happen at 5:30 when we turn off the laptop. It's just like if you've been through, 8 or more hours often when you're working in a crisis of continuous, stressful context, difficult conversations, and then it's like, oh, but it's 5:30, you're magically going to turn your brain off now, right? Well, that's not how it works. If we're going to, seriously, if people are going to sustain themselves through these difficult contexts, I think we need to find moments of relief in the day as well. It's not just when we switch off at the end of the day. Fun's also great for our creative brains, for our imagination, for bringing new ideas. And that's because as humans, we have a tendency to self-censor. We kind of stop ourselves from sharing ideas that feel novel or a bit against the status quo, because we say, oh, someone's going to think we're a bit silly, or we haven't thought this through, or it's a bit half-formed, or it will never work. And techniques that include play and things that encourage us to be a bit silly actually get us past that barrier where we normally stop ourselves from sharing. That's often where the most interesting ideas are. Even if we say, like, most of this wouldn't work, but there's that little bit in there that might be interesting, and we'll riff off of that. And it's why exercises like, you might know this as Crazy Eights, sometimes called Active Eights, where we get people to draw pictures, and we kind of push them beyond their limit of where they would normally share. And we say, come up with stuff that feels kind of really daft, like it would never work, but that's what gets us the most creative ideas. Fun is also motivational. So these are screenshots from the language learning app Duolingo. You might be familiar with it. Duolingo, as with many other applications, employs something called gamification. It says we take things from games, we put them into things that aren't games because we know our brains love them. So levels, points, leaderboards, badges, prizes, all this stuff. We absolutely love it. Like, we keep coming back to it. Even if those things have zero real world value. So Duolingo has this idea of a streak, so it counts how many days you've consecutively logged into the app, and it says you've been online for 250 days, well done you. And once you get to like a sufficiently high number, it becomes a thing where you're just like, well, I can't let that go. I can't let my streak go, that's such a big number. Even though, like, the only person who cares about it is you. And I say that as someone who's quite a long streak, and I'm just like, I can't let it go now. And ultimately, I think we all want to be in workplaces where we're excited to do the work. We want to turn out, we want to work with people who are motivated. Well, if we can incorporate a bit more fun, then we can have that too. And then finally, to our most important group of people, our users, or you might call them customers or clients in your environment, but in government we call them users. We cannot do right by our users. If we're unhappy, we're exhausted, and we don't like our colleagues. And if that is our environment, unhappy teams create bad services. And they create bad services because when you're in a stressful environment, when you're under acute stress, and you don't have that support network around you, and you don't have that moments of relief, and you don't trust the people sat next to you, you start making short-termist, individualistic decisions. We start saying, how do I get this problem off my back? How do I get rid of this immediate stresses in front of me? And that's not user-centered design anymore. That's survival mode. And I've been there, and it's a horrible environment to be in, but ultimately, what are we here for if it's not for endeavouring to create good services? So our team culture and our environment has a direct impact on the people we kind of exist to serve. So we're going to go on to how now. So you're kind of sufficiently convinced that we should be having more fun. How do we incorporate it? And these are stories from my working life in the civil service, and we'll talk about how you make a team that's both fun and productive. Before I share the ideas, I just want to say a few words. So firstly, I'm not laying claim to all these ideas. Many of them I've stolen from other people, and many of them are some of them are here, some of them are on the stream. But I want to say what kind of binds them together is they're things that we tried in the teams I've worked in, and they've genuinely worked, and I'm sharing them in the interest that they might work for you too. They might not work for you, and that's okay, and the reason they might not work for you is there's many reasons. So it might be your context is fundamentally different. So we were mostly like a remote team with about 8 to 12 people, so small teams. This works really nicely. I'm not going to tell you to go and take these to your next ministerial meeting. These are very much kind of in the zone of what you do with your team, the closest people you work with every day. But also, if the folks you work with have experienced a toxic environment, if they've been shut down for trying things like this, or if they come from a marginalised group and they've had to work harder to gain the kind of credibility that they have now, their guard might be a bit higher. So I share them because you might find some inspiration from them, but don't expect you're going to copy and paste these into your environment and they're kind of immediately going to work. And then finally, before I get into the things themselves, if your culture is fundamentally broken, if your people are really unhappy, stuff like this ain't going to fix it. It will be seen as papering over the cracks. But if your culture just feels a bit stale and a bit meh, this stuff is great. So 4 things I'm going to share with you, and I'll share both the thing itself and how it works, and also why it works. So the first one is picture check-ins. We use this a lot at the start of team retrospectives, and we give people a range of images, and we say, tell us which one feels like you today, or tell us which image kind of resonates with your work life in the last month, or whatever the time period is. So we've got a couple of examples here. They're kind of lovely breakfast food. That one's rather nice. And cats. I did promise there would be cats in this presentation. These aren't just any cats. These are in fact the cats that belong to both me and my co-facilitator for this retro. So these are personal cats. We love these. And the reason why this works as a method is pictures help give language to emotions that are hard to express. So especially if people have been going through a difficult time recently, especially if you're in a group setting, it can be hard for people to open up, to find the right words to express how they're feeling. But if you say, well, pick an image, it can give us that vibe. It can give us enough that maybe we think we need to go and check in with that person later, without them having to say too much. Also, it allows people to share as much or as little as they want to share. So often we say, okay, so why did you pick that image? Kind of what's been going on for you? And they can say one sentence, or they can go on, a little bit longer and tell us more about their week. But this is very much kind of participant-led. You decide how much you share in the setting you exist in. And this is also nice because you get to know the facilitator. They're often, so we rotate our retros to different facilitators every time, and you often get to know something about the person. So whether it's a hobby or a recent sports event that they're kind of riffing off, or my love of cats, you get to know something about the person, which is really important for us to get to know each other on a human-to-human level. The second one is quite simple. It's called a joke a day. It does what it says on the tin. Pick your messaging tool of choice. So for us, it's Slack, and you literally just post a joke in it every day. And the beauty of this is it's so quick. So what does it take? 60 seconds to Google a joke and put it online? Because I'm not a natural joke writer. And they're usually on about this level. They're very cheesy, definitely work appropriate, very cheesy. How do you make a bandstand? You take away the chairs. That's the level we're talking about. And the reason why this is so nice, this was started by our delivery manager, and then I carried it on, and we did this for a full 6 months, I think, when we were working remotely. Why this works as a method. So firstly, it's a conversation starter. So often, we used to post these kind of between 9 and 9:30 in the morning, and what they would often lead to was then someone would message me and say, oh, that was a good one today, or I'd kind of compliment them on their guess of a joke, and that would lead into the next conversation. So when we were bringing in new team members all the time, this was a really lovely way actually to kick off the day, and often was that kind of in to have a conversation with someone you haven't spoken to yet. There's also a lovely bit of creative thinking at the start of the day. So what this turned into over time, so we kind of held back the punchlines. You never post the punchline straight away. You let people guess. And I tell you, my team, they're so creative, like so much interesting wordplay. And often the guesses themselves were better than the original punchline. So it was a nice way to kind of get the brain moving in the morning. Can you guess the punchline? And also, what we found with this is it became self-sustaining. Because that's what we want ultimately, is a team culture that's owned by the team. It's not one person driving it all the time. And what I used to find is, if I hadn't posted a joke by about 20 past 9, someone else would jump in and they'd post one, and it became this great kind of team activity and this team conversation that, even once I moved on to a new job, they still carried on posting jokes without me. So, and that's what I want to get to, is these team rituals owned by the team. The next one is the extreme scale of success. This was created by a colleague who I know is watching online. Hello. This is something they came up with a workshop that we did last year, actually about writing a talk. And the idea is you draw a scale from massive success to abject failure, and then you essentially go kind of what scenarios could sit at the most extreme ends of that scale. So we kind of start at the outer edges and work our way back in. So this is what I wrote for my talk that I'm doing today. So at the top of the scale, this talk becomes the basis of a best-selling book. I have no intention to write a book, but if you really like it, maybe I will. But we're pushing ourselves to that extreme end. At the bottom end, we're saying, laughed out the room and you ruin your professional credibility and never work again. That obviously would be very bad. I'm not getting the vibe from you that's happening, so that's great. So the reason why this works is on the kind of lower end of the scale, it surfaces up the things we're afraid of. It says, what's the worst thing that could possibly happen? What are we scared of? And once we can talk about what we're scared of, then we can have conversations and say, well, is that actually going to happen? Is that at all likely? And if it is, what can we do now to stop that happening? But only once we can talk about those fears can we actually do something about them. And at the top end of the scale, it pushes us to increase our ambitions. It says, take that thing that's kind of beyond your imagination, like that's never going to happen, but put it down anyway. And then you start to look at it and say, well, could we do that? Are we willing to put in the effort to do that? And maybe it's not possible for us, but maybe we settle somewhere on that scale nearer the top than we would have started. Okay, and then the last method I'm going to share with you, which is definitely the silliest thing I've ever done at work. And it started with this phrase, which my team now know is nearly irresistible to me, which is, wouldn't it be fun if? And they said to me one day, Coco, you wear so many colourful clothes, wouldn't it be fun if you matched your team's background to your outfits? So then this happened. I will say, this was meant to be like a one-day joke. It got a bit of a chuckle. And then every time I tried to stop, I used to get messages like, where's your team's background? What are you doing? I was like, you don't have to take it this far. Like, there are, most of the video software now kind of has ways of incorporating kind of colour or virtual backgrounds, and it's built-in ones. You don't have to take it this far, but it is very fun. Now, the reason I really liked this was happening during some of the most difficult work of my career. I was working very long hours, stressful stuff that was in the public eye, and however much you love your job, right, there will be days sometimes where you just don't want to get out of bed. You're just so tired, and you're just like, what's going to get me out of bed? And sometimes it was this. It was this moment of like colour and joy and just a bit of laughter at the start of the day was the thing I needed to get me up in the morning. Like, this was the motivation for me sometimes, because we used to do this at morning stand-up. And also, it just puts a smile on people's faces. And when I know I'm looking out on a room of folks that I admire and trust, and I know they're about to go into an 8-hour day of back-to-backs and really challenging stuff, if I can put a smile on their face for 10 seconds at the start of the day, that's worth doing. So that's 4 things that we did. There are many, many more. Ask me in the coffee break. Some of them are really, really daft and probably didn't make the cut. But if none of those feel like they would work for you, your environment, your team, they don't feel authentic to you, I do want you to think about like how you can experiment, but keeping within kind of what I'm setting out some kind of guidelines for healthy fun. So things to think about if you're making up your own experiments, which I encourage you to do. So when we're creating fun activities for teams, anyone should be able to join. Right back to the start, we're talking about forms of fun that weren't inclusive. We want to make sure everyone can join. We also want to make sure that anyone can opt out at any time. So forced fun is not fun, right? We don't want to push people through activities they're not enjoying. There want to be no cost to participate. They want to be short. So every single one of the things I've shown you today took less than 5 minutes to prepare. So we're talking about things we can incorporate within the working day. We're not taking big chunks out of our working day. They should be repeatable at a regular frequency. That's what really makes this stuff work. If you can make it a part of your routine, a part of your team rituals, rather than just something we do once and never think about again. And they should be authentic to you and your team. So people will see through it very quickly if they feel like you're putting on an act. So you want to test and try things out until you find something that kind of feels like unique to you. So for me it was the jumpers, for you it's probably something else. So it's nearly time for me to go, but I wanted to share kind of 3 final thoughts for you. If you take nothing else away from today, please kind of take these with you. So the first one, which I really strongly believe, is it's possible to do serious work, be serious about your work, and still have fun while doing it. And hopefully what you've heard from today is, like, I work on some really challenging stuff that I really, really care about, really difficult problems, but we still have a team culture like this. So if your workplace doesn't feel like this, and you've been told, oh, we don't do things that way, you can't have fun, this is a very serious professional environment, it's possible, it can be done, because I know it can be done because I've experienced it in multiple different places. But that team culture doesn't just happen, doesn't just kind of come out of thin air. You've got to put in the work, something's got to happen, you've got to take some actions, and your culture is about the behaviours we all demonstrate every day. It's about what we build. So, but the great news then, if it's something that doesn't just happen, is that you can make it happen. You know, you can create this stuff. You know, small exercises like this that start to build that that trust and that laughter and that kind of like, it's okay to behave in this way, start to create an environment that feels more like this. And then finally, not everyone will feel safe to instigate or participate in activities like this, for various reasons, especially you know, based on their kind of past, or they're a marginalised group, or if they don't have their job security, they're going to be a bit more reticent to engage. So if you are someone in the room who is in a position of leadership, and you can see that this would benefit your team, you can see that more fun would be good for the people individually, but also for the services you create and your kind of team retention in the long term and all those good things, then I am inviting you to show the way. You know, if you can be a little bit silly, even for a moment, you're starting to give permission to the people around you that it's okay for them to do the same. So all that remains for me to be said is, please go forth, do your own experiments, and please let me know how you get on. I really truly believe we should all be having more fun at work, so please do go and try some stuff. You can let me know how you get on. I'm on Blue Sky and LinkedIn, and really looking forward to kind of continuing the conversation with you.